Good evening, and welcome to Suffering in Silence with Tia May on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Luv Bay family, we're rising out of the ashes together. Our topic on tonight, Native American Domestic Violence Support Group. Tonight with me, I have Carrie Hardy as my co-host, and our guest this evening is Cynthia Nuholi of the Oglagola Women's Healing Circle. Listeners, if you have any questions or comments for our guest or co-host, you can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. If you have any resources that you would like to share with us on a national or local level from your country, your community, your local organizations, or your faith community, you can also email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. Carrie, you want to introduce yourself to Luv Bay again?
Hi, my name is Carrie Hardy. I am a writer, creative writer mostly, and I love telling women's stories. And I love writing on women's identities. And I worked with Tia, I'm sure you guys heard before, I worked with her on her book, editing her book. And I'm really happy to be here today or tonight. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Carrie. And for your editing services, how can you be reached again?
My email address is imagesattainable@gmail.com. It's spelled phonetically, the word images, attainable, no space, @gmail.com. And my Instagram is Carrie Hardy 23. I don't post anything on there. But if you want to message me through Instagram, you can. I'm a Black woman with an afro. And so if you see that in Carrie Hardy 23, that's me.
Thank you, Carrie. And Carrie, you have a mentoring program. You want to tell us about that?
It's unofficial. So it's a for kids or young people. They're not really kids because a lot of them are young adults because of everything they have gone through. They had to grow up so fast. So I work with young adults. I'm a young adult myself, I guess, but they're in their teens. And I live in Atlanta, so, there's a lot of youth here that is very underserved, and they really just need someone to have their back.
Yeah.
And just know that they can go to them for anything, and that they won't leave them if they make one mistake. Because a lot of these kids feel very thrown away. And I know what that feels like. So I just help them. I talk to them. I try to do a grocery haul like once a month. Mm-hmm. I'm doing everything out of my pocket, so it's like, but I try to do a grocery haul like once a month because a lot of them aren't eating properly. When we think of hunger, we always think of, some other country. That's not the United States. No, there are young adults in this country like so hungry, not, it could be something to eat, no, like hungry. So I try to do that, and I always chat with them, and I try to talk to them about their prospects and different things they can do, and I help them find their interests, because a lot of them don't know themselves because of external pressures or something, if they're in a gang or something. And I definitely understand why people get in gangs, but sometimes it can hinder you from knowing who you really are, because being in a gang is very unified. It's very collective. Yeah. So you sometimes don't get to know who you are as an individual. Right. I help with that, identity formation, resources, and friendship.
Carrie, that is awesome. So I'm sure that we will hear more about that in the future, and we will also do what we can to help you with that. That sounds amazing. So Cynthia, please introduce yourself to Luv Bay.
Hello, good evening. My name is Cynthia Nuholi. I live on the Pine Ridge Reservation in a small town called Oglagola, South Dakota. I'd like to introduce myself in our Lakota language, our beautiful Lakota language. Mitakuyapi, Cynthia Nuholi Machiapi, Shto, Naha iyo hachante washtea nape che yuzapi, Makasan, South Dakota, na Pine Ridge Reservation, LYT. And so in Lakota, what I said was, hello, my relatives. I shake all of your hands with a warm heart. I live in Oglagola, South Dakota on the Pine Ridge Reservation. I'm very humbled to be here, and thank you very much for allowing me to come on the show this evening.
Oh, thank you so much. And that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for translating, but it just sounded beautiful. As usual, I would like to start by sharing some resources. And we had a listener who needed information again from Saskatchewan, so I want to share that. So the local domestic violence agency in Saskatchewan is the Interval House, INTERVAL. And the phone number is 1-888-338-0880. And again, that's the Interval House. The number is 1-888-338-0880. I would like to also share with you the services of Barbara Gilliam, Gilliam. Barbara is an MS mental health therapist. She has a virtual private practice. If you are dealing with depression, anxiety, or relationship conflict, Barbara will be able to help you and assist you in enhancing your coping abilities. Again, that's Barbara Gilliam. Her email address is barbaragilliam91@gmail.com. Her phone number is 484-786-3577. You can call and schedule an appointment with Barbara. Again, this is a virtual private practice. She is an MS mental health therapist. And her number again is 484-786-3577. And email address barbaragilliam91@gmail.com. I would also like to share with you the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center. Their goal is providing national leadership to end violence against American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian women by lifting up the collective voices of grassroots advocates and offering culturally grounded resources, technical assistance and training, and policy development to strengthen tribal sovereignty. Their website is www.niwrc.org. We also have Native Love. The goal for Native Love is focused on preventing and ending dating violence for the next generation by encouraging and empowering Native youth to reclaim what healthy relationships mean for them. Their website is www.niwrc.org/Native Love. We also have Native Alliance Against Violence. This is Oklahoma's Tribal Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Coalition and Tribal Technical Assistance Provider. Their website is oknaav.org. And lastly, we have Strong Hearts, STRONGHEARTS, Strong Hearts Native Helpline. Their website is strongheartshelpline.org, and their phone number is 1-844-762-8483. Thank you for listening for those resources. And again, on tonight, our topic, we are learning about Native American domestic violence support groups. So as we begin, I would like to share some information from the Ontario Native Women's Association. I have just a part of an article from them, and the Ontario Native Women's Association is a not-for-profit organization to empower and support all Indigenous women and their families in the province of Ontario through research, advocacy, policy development, and programs that focus on local, regional, and provincial activities. Their website is www.onwa.ca. Their email address is onwa@onwa.ca, and their toll-free number is 1-800-667-0816. And this article is from the Learning Network newsletter, issue 25. The title is Indigenous Women, Intimate Partner Violence, and Housing. And again, it is written by the Ontario Native Women's Association. And just a part of the article, rates of violence. First Nation, Métis, and Inuit women in Ontario experience domestic violence, assault, homicide, and sexual exploitation at significantly greater rates than other women in the province. Indigenous women and girls are 3 times more likely than non-Indigenous women to report having been a victim of violent crime. This higher rate of victimization was seen in stranger, acquaintance, and intimate partner violence. Ontario is one of the major hubs for sex trafficking in Canada. This type of sexual exploitation affects vulnerable people everywhere. Those most at risk are young women, many of them Indigenous women and girls. Violence facts. 75% of survivors of sexual assault in Indigenous communities are young women under 18 years of age. Indigenous women are approximately 3.5 times more likely to experience some form of spousal violence than non-Indigenous women. Indigenous women make up only 1.2% of Ontario's population, yet 6% of female homicide victims. 88% of missing and murdered Indigenous women in Ontario were mothers. Indigenous women and girls are more likely to be killed by a stranger than non-Indigenous women. Almost 17% of those charged were strangers. And again, this was just a portion of an article written by the Ontario Native Women's Association. And now I would like to, Cynthia, give you the floor so you can share your story and the beginning of the Oglagola Women's Healing Circle.
Well, Pila, that means thank you very much. Big thank you in Dakota. I also would like to give a shout out to some of our local shelters here in the Pine Ridge and Rosebud and Rapid City area that do help our women when it comes to domestic violence and traumas. The first one being in our local area here, Oglagola Sioux Tribe Victim Services. They are on Facebook. You can look them up exactly as that, Oglagola Sioux Tribe Victim Services. That's OGLALA. They have an address that they take donations. That address is P.O. Box 6022, Pine Ridge, South Dakota, 57770. Their phone number is 605-867-1508. Another one that is really a great shelter is White Buffalo Calf Women's Society in Rosebud, South Dakota, which really helped me in my time of need when I lived in Rosebud. They have a website called, and it's WB as in B as in Buffalo, CWS.org, and that's White Buffalo Calf Women's Society. They have a toll-free phone number, 844-856-2317. Another one in the Rapid City area is called WAVI, W-A-V-I, Working Against Violence Incorporated. They have a 24/7 shelter in Rapid City, and they have a crisis line. The toll-free number is 1-888-716-9284. And they are also on Facebook. They can be looked up as WAVI, Working Against Violence Incorporated. And then there's another program that I really want to give a shout out to that helped my family to help with the trauma after you go through the trauma of the domestic violence. They're called SGU Tiwahe Glukinipi, Bringing the Family Back to Life. You can go to their website at www.tiwahe.org, and that's spelled Tiwahe. Another one, last one here, is Sacred Shawl Society in Martin, South Dakota, is another shelter for our women in the local area. Their phone number is 605-685-1020. These are very important outlets for our women, our weons, they say, to reach out to when they're in a domestic violence situation. They will help you. Mm-hmm. They will give you shelter. If they don't have shelter, they'll find a place to get you shelter. They have programs to help you with medical. They have programs for travel. They have funds to help you on things to get you on your feet. If you're in a situation where, someone is being really trying to track you down and, you can't get away from them, they just keep coming back. They can even send you to a different town if need be, Mm-hmm. These were options that were even given to me, So it's really important as women to acknowledge our self-respect. When we're in a relationship where we're oppressed, in a sense, mentally and emotionally, we start to believe it, and we don't think that we deserve anything else. It's like a mental conditioning, and that's what happened in the relationship that I had been in that caused ultimately the domestic violence. And this was 10 years in this situation that I started to believe that I wasn't worth much, I couldn't do anything on my own or things like that, or believe what other people said, there's a lot to it. Mm-hmm. So when we start to reach out for help, that is the first step, because they're not going to come and save you. Right. You can keep going back to that relationship, but they're not going to come and save you, say, here, let's go. I'm going to take you, let's go. No, right. This is your choice to get out of this situation for you and your kids now, because ultimately the future generations are affected.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm Lakota by marriage, but I'm also Scottish-Irish by ancestry. I'm the mother of 5 children. They're Sichongo and Oglagola. And the wife to my husband, Dorian Nuholi, who's an enrolled member here of the Oglagola Lakota Oyate, or as we call it, the Lakota Sioux tribe. So forgive me for speaking in front of any elders today or listening in today. That's our respect value, that we usually don't speak before our elders. So I just want to put that out there. I'm a 2nd grade teacher at Ishnawi Cha'owaiwa in Oglagola, South Dakota, and I run women's healing circles on the side stemmed from my own personal past, like said, of domestic violence, and learning to heal from that through ceremony, the mind-body medicine program, our local programs, and my own trials of healing. So this is a long time coming, in effort and support from the Creator, whom I strongly believe in ceremonies of prayer, relatives, friends, various programs, and your support of hearing my story today. I'm very humbled, and I appreciate both of you, mm-hmm. all of you listening in today, for listening to my story. So on Facebook, my page is called Oglagola Women's Healing Circle, Mind Body Medicine, and you can look it up that way to find out more information about when we meet. We meet bi-weekly on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and we've been meeting for a while. And so I started the Women's Healing Circle originally here in Oglagola to help our women who have experienced trauma, domestic abuse, sexual abuse, generational traumas, or any kind of trauma, Being a domestic violence abuse survivor myself from a past relationship who has struggled with the painful path of healing, and was blessed to have been certified in the mind-body medicine techniques created by Dr. Jim Gordon. I've been given permission to use these techniques aligning with the mind-body medicine program and my own personal techniques that I've learned on my healing journey alongside with our cultural beliefs in the Lakota way. So I want to share a little bit about the mind-body medicine program to honor how they've helped me, where I've come from and how it's helping the women in our women's circle. Mm-hmm. Well, the Center of Mind-Body Medicine addresses population-wide psychological trauma and was founded in 1991 by James S. Gordon, MD, a former National Institute of Mental Health researcher, a Harvard-educated clinical professor of psychiatry, and family medicine at Georgetown Medical School and former chairman of the White House Commission on complementary and alternative medicine policy, So he is the author of Transforming Trauma, The Path to Hope and Healing. So CMBM, or the Center for Mind Body Medicine, has successfully worked with population-wide trauma in communities challenged by war, poverty, mass shootings, climate-related disasters, opioid addictions, and genocide. So in response to the unprecedented psychological trauma of the COVID-19 pandemic, CMBM most recently launched an innovative online program of self-care and social support for healthcare workers and those afflicted by COVID-19 that is designed to strengthen their resilience as well as relieve the symptoms of psychological stress and trauma. Jim Gordon came to the Pine Ridge Reservation back in 2017, and I think he actually came before that, but I first came across it in 2017 in Kyle, South Dakota at the Little Wound School, and he introduced his program to an audience of educators, community members, elders, youth, and other relatives of the Pine Ridge Reservation and surrounding areas. And that is when I first learned of this program. I was sent there from my work to attend it as a workshop training. So this changed my life in a very powerful way. From this point, I took a couple more training sessions and became certified in the program. I am now finishing a final part of the Mind Body Medicine program to become an official faculty member and continue this beautiful healing technique in my own community and to whomever my women's healing circle reaches. So this is in a way a grassroots idea to start a local women's healing circle using the mind body medicine skills to help our Indigenous women with trauma. Our relatives on the reservation deal with a lot of lateral violence. So what is lateral violence? The American Institute on Domestic Violence describes it as a form of bullying and can often be called horizontal violence, which has been defined as organized, harmful behaviors that we do to each other collectively as a part of an oppressed group within our families, within our organizations, and within our communities. So as a survivor of trauma, of domestic violence, I wanted to start a women's group to help our women to heal, because women are the heartbeat of the nation, and you'll find that in any Indigenous culture. The women are always the heartbeat of the nation. So when the women heal, the nation heals. I started our women's meetings in April 2018 in our local community here in Oglagola, and my mashke is like best friend, sister in a sense. Kara Bigpro, who also participated in the Mind Body Medicine program, and Kyle helped me to get it started. I was shy, at first to do the meetings by myself, but she was like a mama bird to me, and she supported me and then encouraged me to fly on my own. So I have been ever since, along with the support of many others on my path. And I just want to send a big shout out there to my Ina Noshin, who's probably listening right now, and my Unchi Tanya. Ina is mother and Unchi is grandmother. They're big supporters of my cause. And Edwina from Little Wound School, and Ali Badhart Bull from Pine Ridge School. These are all relatives that went to the training as well. So we have been meeting once a month in person with a potluck and door prizes for almost a year until COVID hit. I then converted the group online through Zoom, and something really amazing happened. It has brought our sacred sisters from the West up north as far as Canada and even the Arctic, the East Coast, Southwest, Mexico, and as far as south as Guatemala. And even a sister from overseas has participated in the decision for healing. So it has been amazing that all these sacred sisters from different tribal nations have come together. And we welcome any women, even if you're not Indigenous. We have created our own safe place and, in a sense, a community of unity. So some stay for a while, find wholeness, and then they move on. And powerful things happen when women come together with the purpose of healing. It has become so fulfilling for me to know that the trauma that I healed from is helping others in some form or way. I feel that is my life purpose. But this is not about me, honestly, I'm going to say that. This is about the goal for our relatives to heal from trauma. We still have a long way to go. This includes our men. So these are challenges that we face on the reservation, and some of those being generational trauma, poverty, high unemployment rates, addictions, lateral violence, plus outside influences of generational racism that leaves us as a people stuck in a constant cycle of self-sabotaging behavior. And what I coin it as is when people are doing lateral violent actions or addictions or anything like that, or if they're gossiping or blasting people on Facebook, this is a trauma wound. I call it a trauma wound, and they're literally bleeding on other people their trauma, and so when we start to recognize that this is a trauma they're expressing, we learn to have compassion and not take it personal, not to react the same way. So the beauty of our Lakota people is the heartbeat of perseverance. Wawachinkanka, and the 7 Lakota virtues given by the sacred white buffalo calf woman. In a time of turmoil, she brought healing and hope to the people. And here are some of the sacred rites she brought to the people. The first one being prayer. Wochekya, finding spirituality by communicating with your higher power. This communication between you and Tunkashila without going through another person or spirit. Respect, wo'ohola, for self, higher power, family, community, and all life. We learn to have respect for our relatives. We call it here being a good relative, helping our relatives. If someone needs something, we help them as much as we can. We honor them by helping them. The next one is caring and compassion. Wa'unshila, love, caring, and concern for one another in a good way, especially for the family, the old ones, the young ones, the orphans, the ones in mourning, the sick ones, the ones working for the people. Honesty and truth is the next one. We chake, with yourself, you have honesty and truth, higher power in others, and with sincerity. You set boundaries. You learn to be able to say no to things that are not going to be of the highest good of the people, in a sense. Mm-hmm. So the next one would be generosity and caring. Wawokie, helping without expecting anything in return. Giving from the heart, our chante, our heart. That's the heartbeat of the nation, We have spirit, wahwala. Humility is wahwala. And we are not better or less than anyone else. We recognize that, and that's the biggest thing about being Lakota, is we never put ourselves in front of our relatives. We always do it in a sense that it's in a circle, that it's for everyone involved. And if you look at the universe, everything the universe does is a collective energy together. There's not one thing that's bigger than the other. The sun is not bigger than the plant that is on the earth. The plant needs the sun. The sun gives off the energy. So we learn this, and wisdom is what that goes to, is woksape. Practice with knowledge comes wisdom. So in the mix of this pandemic, the beauty is the unity and perseverance of the people. Ceremony is a big part of Lakota life. Despite the pandemic, people are finding ways to continue practice ceremony, dance, the beautiful social structure that makes us who we are, even if it's on Zoom or some other technical platform. That's what our women's group does. It uses Zoom to connect with each other, especially now that we can't connect like we could before in person, So we've conducted meetings since April of 2019, which again converted online the year that COVID hit. And we tried to do door prizes online, and then it got to the point where we're sending stuff to Canada, or we're sending stuff to, the East Coast or West Coast, So that's where we were accepting donations for our women's group whenever we do stuff like that. But I want to more go into really an important thing, that if you think about donations for our people here, our shelters need the most donations. And these are some items that you can actually send shelters, and it will significantly help them in a big way. And I got this off the White Buffalo Calf Women's Society page. They said items shelters need are towels, blankets, beads and thread, because our women like to bead, and they like to keep busy and have hobbies. GED study materials and books are very important. Hygiene products, such as shampoo, conditioners, body wash, sanitary napkins, tampons, pillows, diapers of all sizes. Diapers are always needed. Material for quilt making, donations of any kind like that. Socks, underwear, women, children, boys and girls, they always need socks and underwear. Children's shoes of all sizes, bed sheets, full, twin is usually the average size that shelters would have. Sewing machines, toiletry items, of course, paper towels, toilet paper, baby products, baby bath, lotion, powder, wipes, baby bottles, wellness supplies are also always needed. Journals, scented candles. In our culture, we use a lot of sage. So we use the prairie sage, but they welcome white sage, any kind of cleansing. Cedar is really used a lot here in our in the Lakota reservation here, especially. We use cedar in our sun dances and our ceremonies. Cedar is always needed for our women because that brings cleansing. Sweetgrass is significant for women because that's a woman's medicine, especially. We use the sweetgrass to be able to calm our anxiety. And in the traditional days, the women would burn the sweetgrass if there was fear or if there was unknown situations coming. They would always pray. People would always be in prayer. So even medicines, there's different kind of medicines that our people use that they, like whether it be the cedar, there's different ones. I can't think of some right now, but I just want to leave you all with this. If you think about the earth, Unshimaka, we call her Unshimaka, or as we know her, Mother Earth. To become who she had to be, she had to take hits left and right from asteroids, comets, and space dust. She absorbed and grew all this to become the big, beautiful planet that she is for us to live on, that we know her as now. She took a lot of crap to become who she is. And yet she still takes care of all of us, and she shelters us all from cosmic storms. So that's why we should always walk with respect for her, walk in prayer on her, because we are part of her. And our women that experience abuse or domestic violence absorb a lot of energy from that. In the healing process, we become like Mother Earth, full of growth, compassion, and beautiful cycles for others to do the same. So, don't give up on your healing. Don't give up on your healing journey. The hardest part of coming from trauma, I'm going to be straightforward with you, is the healing. You go through anxieties, you go through triggers, you go through random memories. I remember I had to have the bedroom light on for a month after the domestic violence that I went through that took me 3 months to recover from. I was hit pretty good. I have, a titanium plate under my left eye here from the hits. My hair was cut off. I could go into all the brutal details. I don't know if that's allowed on here. But the thing is, I had to go through that healing part. Mm-hmm. My kids had to see me bruised up and healing from that. I had relatives that brought me lavender oil to help the bruises, and it really worked, But the worst part was, I swear to God, I could still feel the hits on my face for like a week after it happened. Mm-hmm. Half of my face was numb for like about 3 months. And it started to slowly come back. A lot of people prayed for me, and I will ever be grateful to them. There was this light that would come from behind my head, and it would touch my face where it had been fractured, and I could feel it. So, how beautiful that energy of people's prayers, to help me to heal from that situation. And the most amazing part of the healing was coming from a place of feeling insignificant, feeling like I wasn't good enough or shy or, unpowerful, to now a place of healing where I don't care what anyone thinks of me anymore. I almost died.
Right.
Who cares what people think of you after
Exactly.
you almost died? You're like, I'm grateful to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful to be with my kids. My kids had to go through a lot, with counseling, because they had to hear me being beat up. Seriously, all night long. I was, basically kidnapped all night long, beat up all night, and I was able to escape because he passed out, and I was about to leave the room. I was completely naked, and I had a blanket over me, all bloody, everything. I could barely see out of my eye. And as soon as I was about to leave the room, the phone rang. And it was a school reach from the school, okay? And I had to, think quick. So I just said, geez, who would be calling this late? And I grabbed the phone, grabbed my blanket, and I ran out the door. I couldn't even grab my kids, and that was the hardest part. I could not grab my kids,
Yeah.
It's still hard to talk about today.
I understand.
That was 7 years ago, but I was able to get away, and I was able to go get to a neighbor, and they called the cops, and my kids luckily were okay. He didn't do anything to them, but the trauma, it was unbelievable to recover from. And the biggest thing that I can say that helped my healing was the support from family, the support from ceremony or prayer, religious beliefs, the support of programs to get through that time is so unbelievably needed. I mean, the first moment I was in the hospital, there was a representative from White Buffalo Calf Women's Society. I don't even know them. I didn't even think that they knew I existed, but they found out about me, and they were there right by my side. Having that local shelter notified when a victim goes through something like that, that support is so unbelievably powerful. Yes. And part of the healing. I'm so ever thankful, and we really need help with our local shelters to really get the things they need to help our relatives that are going through that, And to end with it a little bit here, I also want to say that we need to pray for our men. We need to have programs for our men to go through to help with their generational trauma, so that they're not doing what they saw their dad do to their mom.
Yeah.
And the biggest part of it is acknowledging it, listening, just having someone listen is so powerful.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of the story. And ever since we started these women's groups, it also helps me, continue to heal, because there's still things that I'm still healing from, and that's the beautiful part of it. Just because I'm the facilitator for it doesn't mean that I'm completely healed. I'm also going along with our women that need healing. Yeah.
Cynthia, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being here. Luv Bay, we want to welcome you again to Suffering in Silence with Tia May on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We have a replay on Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, we are rising out of the ashes together. Before I pose a question to you, Cynthia, I want to share a few more resources that I have. And these are tribal shelters and safe homes. The first one is Adabi Healing Shelter, ADABI. This is in Chinle, Arizona. The website is www.adabihealingshelter.org. Their phone number is 877-888-8255. 698-0899. We have Walape Domestic Violence Prevention Program in Peach Springs, Arizona. The phone number is 928-769-2269. Mount Graham Safe House, Inc. in Safford, Arizona. The number is 928-348-9104. Their crisis line is 888-269-9104. On Eagle's Wings, Gila River Indian Community. The number is 528-562-2740. Their crisis line is 885-203-5849. And we also have Tadanaje, TOHDENANSSHAI, Committee Against Family Abuse in Kayenta, Arizona. The number is 928-697-3635, and their crisis line is 928-697-8591. And the last we have is White Mountain Safe House. Their website is whitemountainsafehouse.org, and their crisis line is 928-892-5852. And as a reminder, I would like to, Luv Bay, please ask you to give to the GoFundMe account for Oglagola Women's Healing Circle. And that is gofund.me/5A0AEDD6. So I thank you all in advance for doing that. So Cynthia, as we were talking earlier, I just want to ask you about, and this actually came from something that Carrie brought up. Can you talk about how we store trauma in our bodies and how the mind-body medicine techniques help with that?
A big part of trauma, what happens is when we go through a significant piece of trauma, spiritually in our Lakota way, we believe our spirit leaves our body. And we always say to call our spirit back 4 times by saying our name 4 times. But in the scientific part of it, what happens is in the cellular memory, it sheds that trauma into the core of our body, whether it be our heart, our stomach, our lungs. That's why we get anxiety. That's why we feel like we can't breathe in a situation, or we get that rush of fear. So the beautiful part of mind-body medicine is there's different ways to release this trauma. We have the active meditation, which is like, for example, we'll do shaking and dancing. So we'll have some music that we're shaking and dancing to, like a Kundalini bell ringing music. Mm-hmm. And we'll shake for about 5 minutes. And we'll just shake as best as we can. Sometimes we have elders that can't shake, so they'll sit in their chair and they'll shake. But that movement, that release, dance is a big part of a lot of cultural, societies and all over the world. Dance is huge at releasing, whether it be prayer or trauma or anything else. So once we're done with the shaking, we kind of observe our body. What do we feel? We feel the rush of our adrenaline. We feel the rush of the movement. And a technique that I also like to use is to put your hand on your heart and you feel your heartbeat. So as we breathe, we take a deep breath and we're breathing, we gradually feel our heartbeat start to calm down. That's how powerful our sacred breath is. And when we are able to take a big breath in, we're bringing our spirit back as well. And when we breathe in the mind-body medicine, they talk about the medicinal properties of that. We bring oxygen to our blood. we're able to have it circulate to our heart, to all sorts of things. It can actually help change medical diagnoses in your body the more that you learn to use meditation and breathe. And there's been circumstances where people would have to change their medications because their blood pressure went down. You know, their diabetes was under control a little bit in some form of way. You know, so there's significant parts of oxygen in our blood in preventing sicknesses. The higher amount of oxygen we have, the less likely you are to get sick. You know, so then there's more of the guided imagery and the being able to sit still and to go on a journey in meditation. And you're able to go to a place to release things. So the Mind Body Medicine program utilizes a lot of that to help to release the trauma as well. My first experience going to Mind Body Medicine, at first I thought, oh, this is probably going to be hokey, you know, I'm not really into meditation, you know, stuff like that. And we get in there, and I don't even know what it was, but it was like my spirit recognized how powerful this program was. I just started bawling. I was embarrassed. It was just coming out. We barely started, and I started just crying. It was like acknowledging that trauma. And then just the essence of listening. That's another powerful thing about Mind Body Medicine, is simply listening. We're not intervening with people. We're not giving them guidance. We're not telling them what to do. We're simply listening. And that by itself is a huge, way to heal the trauma. So those are a few techniques, you know.
Thank you. Carrie, do you have a question or a comment for Cynthia?
I've been kind of listening and just kind of processing. I don't know if I have a question as of right now.
Okay. I mean, I'm still taking it in myself, Cynthia. I just really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing your story. And I understand. You know, I understand. Yes, Carrie.
I will say that what you were saying about releasing trauma, how are you talking about the soul leaving its body? According to Oglagola traditional beliefs, I completely understand that. I guess in more Western psychiatric medicine calls it, something different because of like depersonalization and derealization, where you're like, depersonalization is like maybe you don't feel like you're real, and then derealization is like maybe you don't feel like your surroundings are real. So say maybe you're looking at your mug or your desk or something, and just everything around you just looks like a water painting. It just doesn't feel real. I think that what you said sums up the human experience of going through something like that better than Western psychiatric medicine. What you said reminds me of this poem by, she's a Black poet, and her name is Ntozake Shange, and she wrote for colored girls. And there's this poem she wrote called Laying on of Hands, and it's basically talking about how she was missing something, and she was missing a laying on of hands. So basically, like, spirit, all of God coming into me, making me whole. So just this like, oh my gosh. And I love poetry, and I love, like you said, I love writing. So just, and then what you said about the spirit leaving herself, leaving the body, there's another part of that poem that's like, I stayed up one night. It was the ghost of another woman who was missing what I was missing. I wanted to jump out of my bones, be done with myself, go on in the wind, leave myself alone. So, like, that really reminds me of what you said, because I love that poem. And so I completely know what you're talking about. And sometimes even I struggle with numbness, just feeling like numb. But I've gotten a lot better. But I used to struggle with that a lot when I was younger, or probably just a few years younger. I would just go into this numbness. So thank you so much, Cynthia. That's really amazing, and I'm really grateful for the work that you do. Even though I'm not a part of your group, I am literally so grateful for the work that you do, because you're having an impact on, like you said, energy and humanity. And so I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and it's been a long time coming, I think all of us have a purpose when we go through a form of trauma, and that purpose is to learn to heal. And when we learn to heal, then we're able to help others. And I think that's the lesson of it all, is to create that generational cycle to heal, so that the next generation doesn't make the same mistake, and I really appreciate your words, and I love that poem. That sounds so beautiful. I really want to check it out.
Well, ladies, again, we are just under the hour. Cynthia, I told you it was going to go by fast. we are just nervous. But you did a beautiful job, and I thank you again so much. I just want to share my personal experience with the Oglagola Women's Healing Circle. Cynthia invited me to join, and I did. And I have to say that as soon as I joined the virtual meeting, the first sense that I had was being safe. There was just, it was just the feeling of being safe and secure. And all the women there just made me feel like I was not by myself. Even if they didn't experience exactly what I experienced, it was, I was accepted, and I was supported, and I was prayed for and prayed with, just like all the other sisters in the group. And so that is just something, as a survivor of trauma, just that feeling of being safe, that is something that you need, because a lot of places that we go to be safe, to get help, and to be secure, we're met with the total opposite of that. And so I just wanted to share that of my experience being a part of the healing circle. There was just that safeness, that peace, that support. And I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but as she began to pray, I just felt like, everything was okay. I was going to be okay. And then, and again, as you were talking about the tears just coming, when you first went to that meeting, when I sat in this meeting, it was like I didn't know that there was just much more, I guess, that I needed to release in that moment. Because when I tried to speak, I couldn't. Words didn't come, tears came. But I was safe enough in that group for my tears to flow. And then eventually I was able to form some words. But that atmosphere was something beautiful. So I encourage all to please take part in this program. I encourage everyone to do whatever it is that you need to do for yourself. As Cynthia was saying earlier, our healing, it is our responsibility. There's something that we need to do. No one's going to know if we don't say anything. So do what you need to do for yourself. Contact your local agency, a friend, a family member, even a stranger. Do whatever you need to do for yourself to get yourself the help and the peace that you need. So with just a few minutes left, Cynthia, I want to give you the final word. If you could please give everyone your contact information again, how they can reach you or become a part of the healing circle as we say goodnight for the evening.
Again, you can find us on Facebook. The page is called Oglagola Women's Healing Circle, Mind Body Medicine. And Oglagola is spelled Oglala. Our email is oglalawhc@gmail. That's Oglagola for as in Women Healing Circle. So oglalawhc@gmail.com. And you can get a hold of me that way. I'm also on Facebook under Cynthia New Holy. you can message me. But this is all grassroots. I'm not an official program. I just do this on my side time. And thanks to, again, the Mind Body Medicine program. So we meet bi-weekly on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And the link is on the page. We have the events that we share on the page. So you can find the Zoom link there. So, and that's the best way you can probably get a hold of us on that. And if there's any other questions, then...
Can I share your mailing address, the P.O. Box?
Oh, yeah. If you want to make donations to Oglagola Women's Healing Circle, you sure can.
Okay, so if you want to send in donations, toiletries, diapers, wipes, wellness supplies, clothes, paper plates, bowls, utensils, food funds for meetings, journals, scented candles, and colorful cheesecloth bags. As Cynthia was saying earlier, to put in a mix of prairie sage, cedar, sweetgrass, dried lavender petals, dried rose petals, and any wellness supplies. You can actually mail these items to Cynthia New Holy at P.O. Box 612 Oglagola, Oglala, South Dakota 57764. And the GoFundMe fundraiser is gofund.me/5A0AEDD6. And again, Luv Bay, thank you for joining Suffering in Silence with TMA on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here every Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're rising out of the ashes together. Another thank you to Carrie Hardy and Cynthia New Holy. Good evening.